Hello, everybody. Happy spring summer weather. It's like summer here. And where I live here in Montreal, it's just like, I always joke that it's like a switch. Somebody just decides, okay, winter's over. Um, it went from cold and damp and is this spring ever going to happen? To overnight, all the flowers came up within 2 days. The leaves came out and burst, and everything's green within like 2 or 3 days out of nowhere. So it does feel like a switch, and it's great. It's finally, yeah, warming up in the sun is super helpful. And we've got an intense eclipse coming up. I gotta just prepare you, but I don't want you to feel despair over it, because I still feel that June is going to be a great month. High energy and happy. Doesn't mean the world all irons itself out perfect, but we're just saying the overall feeling. We've got planets moving into Aries later in May. And so we're going to see more fire, more willpower, more action. So it's just been like a real slow start to the summer and spring, back into this yang energy, masculine energy, compared to the feminine, quiet, dark, cold, reflective. That was a long one this time. So the eclipse could be the thing that kickstarts the year into a different vibe or into action. I usually expect something to kickstart the year back in March. It wasn't really happening. I didn't get that feeling of like, oh, right? Something in the spring seems to always come along that we got to deal with, or we make a decision, or things change in the world and everyone starts adapting and we're in a flow for that year. This year didn't feel like that yet. Like I said, I thought we would get it perhaps at the last eclipse, the partial solar eclipse, but not really. So this eclipse, this lunar eclipse, which we're about to look at, is pretty intense. It has an overall feeling of clearing out old, dead, soggy energy out of your life, out of your psyche. For some people, it'll play out with some drama, we can't lie. For others, as I always say, some it's internal, some it's external events. But we're going to take a look more in depth. So if you follow my channel and you like my free content, I'd appreciate if you go below and click and subscribe to me on Patreon. That would be great. Or if you want to like, follow, share, that makes me happy too. And if you want to reach me for private readings, the links are also below this video, and to join my community, which is brand new. So I'm just starting to build an online platform for a community that I'm calling Sacred Vibes. And it goes hand in hand with my new book, Vibes from the Other Side. See, I'm trying to wear like funky 70s colors because I love how beautiful and colorful the book is. Even when you look inside, it's like, it's just lovely the way it was done. Anyway, you can get this anywhere: Amazon, Chapters, Indigo, Barnes & Noble, Goodreads, Waterstones, anywhere you see this. And I'm very proud. And I have a couple of podcast interviews that I was asked to do coming up. One of them this evening was somebody in Toronto. I'll post those links as well when they're done. And the other one I was asked to be part of is in England. The guy's in England, and I'll be doing that next week. So if you're curious, maybe I'll ask them if I can post some of the audio up here on YouTube. Otherwise, I'll make sure that I link them. I'll mention them and link them in another video once they're done so you can hear them. Okay, let's tackle this eclipse energy now. So let me share my screen. Okay, I'm gonna find, I do this every time, don't I? Not very quick. Okay, there it is. All right. So of course, chart is cast for New York, Eastern time zone. And for the Eastern time zone folks, it makes it interesting because the ascendant is Capricorn, and this time it is significant because we have Pluto on the rising sign. See here, this looks like a P, that's Pluto. AC is the ascendant or the rising sign. Now, as you can see, this is just like 7 degrees away. It's considered to be a conjunction. Pluto on the rising sign on the ascendant is like a death and rebirth or transformation of yourself, your physical body, your self-image, presentation to people in the world. People that have Pluto on the rising sign are very magnetic, powerful, intense. Sometimes they seem dark and brooding. Sometimes they seem liberated and uplifting and powerful and inspiring. And it can be both. They can seem like a storm cloud coming, or they can seem like a rainbow. So because of that, on the rising sign, I'm expecting to see, if you're in this time zone, something again of a self-reinvention. When we see Pluto on the rising, you'll want to be careful of being accident prone, just in case. Although we usually look at Mars as well for accidents, and there's really nothing there to worry about on that level. But I would say, you know, Pluto rising, just take it easy. I wouldn't go doing anything too risky or daredevilish. Some people, like I said, this could be a transformation, and Pluto can be a rebirth in a good way. It's not always a bad way. Some scandals or flip-flops or reversals of how we see people might come into play. But reversals can be also in the good. So you might feel like some sort of makeover, you know, you might want to let people know what you're doing or what direction you're going in. You might make a physical change. Like sometimes that can even be just getting a brand new haircut that's totally different, you know. And for some people, it might play out as a new role at work, a new title, you know, something else that's different that you're associated with, that transforms your image to the public and transforms the way you look or are perceived by the public. And it'll be obvious because it's on the rising sign. It's not like you can change something up and keep it on the down low and hidden. It'll be obvious to people because Pluto is on the rising sign. If you're in a different time zone and that same Pluto, it's still going on for all of us. But if it shifts and you're in a different time zone and it's in the 12th house, well, then your transformation will be hidden unless you want to let us know. And it would play out more in your psyche, more in a personal, private, psychological way. And if it played out in a different time zone, that it was in your 2nd house, it might not be as visible or obvious, but it would be, in that case, hitting your pocketbooks, hitting your finances. So all depends where you're seeing this from. So of course, at a full moon, we always have the sun opposite the moon all the time. Full moon is always sun opposite moon. And we look down here, the sun is at 25 Taurus. The north node is at 22. So the sun is aligning with the north node. And if you've watched my videos, you know, like the north node is pulling us towards the direction we need to go in. Well, now the sun is aligning with it. It makes it very strong. And the north node and sun in Taurus is drawing you towards having more stability and loyalty and security and routines, practicality in your life. And it's moving away from the south node and the full moon, which is hitting the south node, which is making that extra powerful. This is why I'm saying it's a death and rebirth eclipse. It's a clearing out the old, dead, murky, soggy karma. And yes, things can happen that activate you to clear that karma. You know, it's not like you're just sitting around watching your Netflix and chilling and, oh yeah, right, I really should make amends to that person, or it's true, I think it's just time to call this a day, that's over. Or, you know, memories, old memories can come up, exes can come up out of the woodwork, whether they actually call you back or try to get back with you. Some might just come back to your mind because it's old energy. You've got to make room for the new. And the new and the direction to go in is towards who is more Taurus-like, who is reliable, who can I trust, who is stable minded, stable financially, patient, likes to enjoy, you know, home and sensual pleasures, good food, good friends. And we're moving away from the south node and the moon in Scorpio, which would lead you towards endless transformation and digging deeper and deeper and deeper down the psychological well. And there's always value in doing that. We're not slagging Scorpio energy here. You can get extremely deep insights during a moon in Scorpio that you wouldn't normally. It's just that because the south node is there and it's asking us all to step away from constantly questioning and looking at the deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the shadow, into the shadow, into the taboo, into the transformation and chaos constantly. It's asking you to get off of that wheel if you can. Now, in order to do that, the moon in Scorpio might give you incredible psychic moments. It could give you those light bulbs about people or your past. It could give you like a radar for things and people that are going on around you now, what you need to do and act quickly and act firmly. We want to avoid more intensity and more drama and more big emotions or covert emotion. We want to use this moon in Scorpio to dig deeper internally, to understand something at a deeper level so that you can release it and you can go towards what is more peaceful and stable for you. And this is why I feel this moon is very karmic, because it's hitting the nodes. So what it means is that actions around us that affect us, decisions, choices we make, they can have a stronger effect on your future now than usual if they hit the nodes. You're being asked and pushed to go towards a different relationship with the world or yourself. You're being catalyzed or moved or stimulated or slapped into the future. So think about areas of your life where you're always in some sort of, you know, brooding, internally deep, dark mood, psychoanalyzing. Ask yourself, like, okay, have you analyzed this enough? Can you go towards the Taurus side where you just say, you know what, I've thought about this so many times. I've suffered, I've tortured myself with this so many times. I'm going to call it a day. I know what this is about. I know what happened. I know my version of it. And I don't want to keep questioning and going down the wheel, or I don't want to keep responding to the text of the ex who can't let go, or I don't want to keep fantasizing or replaying some relationship that didn't work over and over. And then looking at one more video to understand one more time what the narcissistic empath dynamic is, even though you've watched like 700 videos of them already. This is the kind of thing when the moon in Scorpio is with the south node in Scorpio. It's like, okay, have you analyzed this enough? Can we just sort of say this is as deep and dark as I'm going to go before I can say, I understand this enough to know that I've learned the lesson, and B, I can spot it in the future. C, I believe I deserve a better or more consistent or stable future. So, and some of you are already probably listening to this going, I don't want any of that drama anyway. I never did. I want things to be simple and peaceful. I don't want to start digging and looking deeper. But if you never do, then the south node and the moon are going to bring that up, because we can't only just sort of sugarcoat and whitewash life as if it's only on the pretty nice stable surface that we live. You'll avoid so much of what life is about if you don't go into the Scorpio terrain of the psyche, of the hidden, of the mysteries. So if you're on the opposite side, it could bring something up for you that might be surprising or emotional. And if it does, you have to trust, I'm saying, that it's coming up for a damn good reason. And you got to take a look at it so that you can say, wow, okay, this deeper truth has come to my attention about myself or my loved ones, about where I live, about, it's a moment of self-honesty. If you recognize what it is and you try not to get too upset by it, you can sort of be of the mindset like, okay, wow, that was big, but thank you for showing me what's still bothering me. Thank you for highlighting what I still need to work on because I got so triggered. Then you can go back to the Taurus side and say, okay, what kind of boundaries do I need to make my life work better based on this? What kind of people do I need to be gravitating towards or surrounded by to keep myself more stable and solid so that I'm not living in my past or my traumas or my triggers all the time? So this is pretty clear to me that this is what's going to be activated for us personally. Now, if you take a look at the aspects, Pluto is actually making a nice aspect to the node and sun and even Mercury. It's supporting it. And it's making a sextile to the moon and the south node. So the stronger force where Pluto is helping the most is focusing on the Taurus side. So again, it just emphasizes maybe this self-reinvention that we're mentioning could look something like you have something come up that's upsetting or triggering, and it reminds you of your past, or it's some pattern that you need to break. And as I said, instead of going, down the rabbit hole one more time, talking about trauma, Pluto might reinvent you by you announcing something to people about how you're going to solve or resolve that old problem that brings you into more of a solid place, and it changes the way people see you for the better. Now, of course, Pluto can also bring up the shadow and the dark and the difficult in life. So for some people, if you're going to stay focused and fixated on, you know, on the Scorpio side, you know, the drama might come up and might spill out into the public eye somehow. It's possible for some. It also could, for the people that I said, you know, if you're sort of a, I don't want any drama, I never want problems person, and you never really go deeply, if it brings up something deep and it's uncomfortable, again, it might show to people on the outside or in public, meaning, you know, the simplest thing would be, normally, let's say you're just so routine and you exercise and eat well and you go to bed at the same time and you've got everything pretty Taurus-like, pretty, and then something comes up that just knocks you off your socks emotionally, and all of a sudden your routines are all messed up. And now the Pluto rising is like, oh, hey, so-and-so, I never see you walking at this time. Or like, are you okay? Because you look like you didn't sleep well. You know, because you won't have everything all put together in place like usual. It'll show to others that you're going through a transformation. So as I mentioned, some people will be using this transformative energy and they'll be empowering and strengthening themselves towards stability, and others are going to take their drama and make it way worse. Others are going to just be a little bit shocked and surprised. But of course, that kind of last person scenario where it's like a bit shocking and they need to go deeper, they'll gravitate to go back towards the stability they know. This is just like a little bit of a dip in the straight line for them. But it would be significant enough that they'll think about it for a long time, and they'll keep themselves aware of whatever that was and work on it so that that doesn't happen again, because they hate it when this kind of thing happens. So which one of these do you feel you gravitate towards the most of these three scenarios? Are you getting a vibe? So luckily, Uranus is still 10 degrees away from Taurus. So that whole sort of surprise, you know, boom, kind of aspect of Uranus, it's there, but it's not as intense as it could have been because it's not hitting the sun and node too directly. So that's sort of good, you know. It helps things, it helps us level off and stabilize or normalize some things easier than if Uranus was there, and it might be, you know, whichever direction you go, the moon or the sun, there's a shock. Uranus is still, of course, squaring Saturn like it was last time I spoke a couple weeks ago. So you've got the rebel and the one imposing rules and structures, and then you've got the rebel energy in fixed signs. So there's still that struggle going on that's going to go on for a while. Now, the other interesting thing going on is if you look at all these trines that Pisces planets are making to the moon and the node, this is the most positive flow of energy as well. So as usual, you know, there's different ways to focus your mind to maximize the energy of the full moon. So the first one was Pluto trine Sun and North Node. So taking a step towards solidifying, stabilizing, grounding, stable routines, stable income, being practical, being loyal, cutting away from the drama. The second way is quite different. The second way you can maximize this energy is this water trine. So you've got Moon and South Node trine Jupiter, which is 1 degree at Aries, actually. It's going to retrograde into Pisces again, but it's stepped just into Aries, interestingly. And then you've got Mars and Neptune together in Pisces. And Mars, Neptune, Jupiter, as I said before, is just so potent for Oh, it's hard to describe that. You either get moments of pure inspiration, creative brilliance, psychic openings, and amazing cosmic aligned transcendent wow kind of states of mind with Mars, Neptune, Jupiter, or you get self-sabotage and self-deception. And that's why it's tricky when it's Pisces and when it's Neptune. Even Mars can energize and bring action, but it can also harm and bring danger or violence. I'm not feeling that from this chart, but I do get a feeling that some of these insights you might get with that Scorpio moon, like we said, this deep psychological, uncovering the mystery, tapping into the hidden, the covert, the things that no one will ever say or maybe ever admit, but you can see them. Mars and Neptune might help you, and Jupiter, they're all going well with that. That's enormously introspective or creative or mystic. So again, some of you might have like amazing flashes of insight, clairvoyance, spirit guides, past lives. You might suddenly look at somebody and you've got their number. You can see right through them and you will suddenly understand them. You might see, this kind of energy can move you to see things on many levels and to process things psychologically and emotionally on different levels quickly or more integrated than usual, because Pisces just sort of, it's like foggy, murky, and mushes it all together, and somehow I don't know how, but I suddenly just know this. I don't know why, but I suddenly feel that this is going to happen for me in my life, or I suddenly forgive. I never thought I'd forgive, but suddenly I feel I'm forgiving somebody that I never thought I could. These kind of moments can come out of that water trine energy. So for those of you that have already begun like an introspective process, or maybe you already understand a lot about yourself or psychology, you don't have to, but I mean, if you're already geared towards being introspective already or being intuitive already, it could just really increase it. And if that's the way it plays out for you, particularly this time, I'd suggest that you might want to keep a journal or write down what your flashes of insight are or what your dreams are right now. Because this does have the potential to be quite prophetic with those aspects. And either way, whichever of these options you resonate with, my overall feeling of this eclipse is that it will provoke a decision or a change that you won't sort of turn back from. And like we said, that can be anything from I'm done, I'm breaking up, that's it, it's over. That could be I'm quitting my job, I don't want to do this thing anymore. That can be I'm accepting the promotion. Wow, everyone sees me differently. That can be I've met somebody significant. I think this is it. I'm going to commit. That can be, I can't fake stuff anymore. I'm just going to be myself, come what may. But there is a decision point coming with this eclipse that will change the way you go about your life from going forward. And that will be obvious to others. So it's quite the potent eclipse. All right, so let's take a look with the cards now. All right, I can hear people outside on the Coast Guard and the boats making announcements to the boaters already. That's a sure sign of summer here. All right, I'm gonna burn some sage and stuff, juniper actually, because I think it's needed with all this intense energy. I've also noticed a pattern so far in the lead up to it that perhaps you're feeling as well. So just in case you want to feel like it's not just you. A lot of people have been telling me that they're feeling affected by the solar flares we've been having. They've been very strong lately. So a lot of people are saying they're getting headaches or blurry vision or, pardon me, inflammation. A lot of people are saying that their bones and their hips and stuff are aching. And so if that's happening for you, a lot of empaths that I know are saying the same thing. So it's always helpful to know when something is not necessarily ours. It's a collective thing that we're picking up, and it's not us personally. It just helps people deal with it. If you think, oh no, what's wrong with me? Is something happening to me? It's much more scary than, oh, a whole bunch of people are feeling the same thing as me right now. So, okay, it's a collective thing. It helps us to accept it, and then it calms your anxiety, and then it calms everything if you calm your anxiety. It can be much more healthy and effective. So let's take a look at our cards. All right, May 16th. So if you, we can also see the lunar eclipse this time from North America. So if you're in the Eastern time zone and you go out at like 12:15 a.m. on Sunday night, you can start to see it a little earlier. It might start around 9 p.m., but it peaks and the eclipse exactly happens at 12:14 a.m. So Sunday night, if you want to go out and see it. All right. All right, here we go. So the first card we get is the Power card. That's a very Pluto type of card. It's the Sun in Capricorn. It's a very Taurus kind of card too, though, even though it says Capricorn, because it's just like a very earthy. You've got, if you take a look at it, you're flying overhead a castle with a drone. You see the 4 towers, you see the entrance, you see a moat around it. This card, you know, it's power because they've built this castle and it's all sanctioned off and nobody can get in unless they want them to. And so it's powerful because it's got this security to it and this money to it, but it also can be a very lonely card. And so the question is sort of that with this card. It's like, is your version of security and stability allowing that, you know, sense of community and family and bonding that you want? Or have you walled yourself off? You know, like you're secure, but you're so alone that you're lonely, you know? It's begging the question. Oh, then we have the Prince of Cups. So somebody nice comes along. Somebody sensitive is around. Somebody who's very, you know, creative and artistic, and you know, he's a little bit flaky sometimes. Like he says he'll be there and he means it, but he's not there. Doesn't show up. But the creative level and the emotional sharing and the intimacy and the bonding with him is great, usually. And he's usually very sweet. He's just not always super reliable yet. You might have someone in your midst who's like that. And if you do, I would say just open yourself to that interaction. It might be really nice. We've got the 8 of Swords, which is like over analyzing Too many thoughts, too many options, too many theories, too many projects. It's so much that it says interference on the card. There's so much going on the mental realm that now you're shutting down. There's just way too much on your mind. Too many things. So this might make sense with the Prince of Cups, that he or it could be a she, or they, he or she have too much going on, too much scattered, too many dangling threads, and it's shutting them down mentally. They might feel a bit depressed. They might not be able to start anything. They might not have any idea where to start. Ten of Swords. Well, this person is headed for a bit of a depression or a crash because of that tendency. So if this is you or someone you know, you can expect that they might not get the opportunity they expected. They might be turned down by somebody or something they were counting on. They might have missed the deadline because they were too scattered. Now they can't get there. And they're going to be very depressed about that. But it's important in a way that wake-up call happens, because they need the wake-up call to reroute their lives and understand that this is what they're doing. By not deciding, by being so open that it's overload. Still, they're going to be very disappointed at something. Then we get the Strength card, the Nine of Wands. So this person will rebuild and make a turnaround. So if that's you or someone close to you, you might see someone crash, but they're going to get their strength back after it. Their resolve is going to come back stronger after that incident. Death card is very Pluto card. It's got Pluto right on there. So whatever this person does from that wake-up call, they're going to be hustling and making their life move quicker. They're going to be doing and tackling things that normally they have avoided for a long time. They're going to be cleaning up their act, and they're probably going to do it quite quickly. So you're going to see this person go from foggy brain, scatter, I don't know, crash of disappointment, and then burst of, I'm just going to do this. I'm deciding that this has got to go. I want this. I'm going to act. I'm going to call. I'm going to follow through. I'm going to push for this. You're going to see a kick into action. So a low and an equal high. That's very Plutonian energy, Scorpio energy too. And we've got the Hermit. So, okay. During this cleanup phase, they also will realize that they need some time alone. They need to pull back from some of their crowd. I'm getting the feeling whoever this is they've probably been feeling pulled and pushed and distracted by people that are around them that aren't really compatible for them anymore. And so they're going to have to pull back and stop accommodating and focus on themselves and getting their own life stabilized and their own goals rolling. They don't have time for everything and everyone anymore. So they might be hermiting. I would say it's probably a healthy thing, but if it's a really sensitive person, you still want to have somebody check on them, that the hermit doesn't mean like they're going into like a depressive cave mentality either. But like they're going to kick things into action, but then they're going to withdraw and pull back. So we'll have to see. Oh, well, that's a good sign. The Ace of Cups. If this person pulls back and withdraws and takes their space, it's for good reasons. There's creativity, or there's making space for love, for better quality relationships, for love to happen, for creative inspiration to happen. So if they suddenly drop a bunch of things, they're suddenly not available and they're pulling back, it's so that they make room for something good. This is a very, very good sign. And finally, we have the Hierophant. So We've got doubly reflective cards that with the Hermit and the Hierophant. The Hierophant is reflecting and connected spiritually, but he doesn't have to be in isolation like the Hermit. But this is often a card of teaching or of connecting to a mentor or a spirit. Could be a spirit guide in the astral, but it could also be a spiritual guide that they find, a teacher, a psychologist, you know, another coach or someone like myself. There's a lot of self-study and examination of stuff. But overall, this is interesting how the cards also reflect, you know, sort of the knocking off of whatever is stable into a bit of chaos, into a bit of loss or disappointment, and then a rebound of action that clears the path. It's sort of like when they, you know, intentionally burn a path of forest. They set the fire on purpose on a certain perimeter, on a certain line, and that actually acts as a buffer for any other forest fire to not just destroy. It contains. So it's almost like the equivalent of that going on, you know. Sometimes you've got to burn a perimeter. A lot of you will be making decisions and setting boundaries and making statements and choosing to do things where there's clearly a line for you now that you won't let be crossed. But it's going to clear the path for other growth that is much better for you. So I don't want anybody getting too down or depressed about what I'm saying about the eclipse. It might feel like a kick in the head, but sometimes we need that to jolt us out of a slumber, out of a funk. The trick I find is don't start getting depressed or feeling victimized by that if that happens. Instead, it's like, you know, if you're in a building and you hear the fire alarm go off, you're going to jolt. You're going to be like, is there a fire? Do I have to run? Do I have to get out of here? Or are you going to sit there going, oh, why do I have to be the one in the building when the fire alarm's going off, and sit there wallowing? No, it's like, get up and check, leave. It's not personal. It just happened. Things happen. A lot of things aren't personal. So if this is the kind of way it plays out for you, something comes to your attention, something you didn't expect, something that's overdue, try not to get down, try not to make yourself a victim to it and create more trauma to get over later about that. Try to just look at it like, oh, fire alarm went off and I heard it and I acted on it. Just take it as a call to action. That's the healthiest way and the quickest way to have that energy be a 180 turnaround in a good way and not be a lingering down. Yeah. All right, so let's take a look. Excuse me. I don't have a cold. It's the weirdest thing. I've been going through, this is my eclipse. It's all like physical symptoms and having to be very careful of food and stuff. Life is asking me to eat and live very clean and simple right now. So I'm taking that message and doing it, and I feel better. Instead of, oh, how come I can't have my favorite food? It's like, no, this is what's presenting itself right now, and it won't be forever. Let's just see then what kind of, what area of your life, in what way will the eclipse play out for each sign? What kind of surprise or what kind of action or area is the eclipse taking place for your sign? All right, so Aries, how does your eclipse play out? Five of Cups. I would say that there is some sort of old disappointments about, I'm getting a feeling of like old regrets. Whether that's people that let you down, people that you lost touch with, or people that things maybe you regret doing or saying. But I get a feeling that for you that you're going to be processing these sort of disappointments or regrets. So your turnaround could be along the lines of opening a dialogue, making amends, asking for apologies, or apologizing yourself, depends on who's on what end of it. And it can also deal with forgiveness too. So it's a Scorpio card, the Five of Cups. It's not your usual terrain. It would help you to look a little deeper at people's real reasons why they might have done or said or acted the way they did, and to look at your own, to get a little deeper insight as to why things didn't work out the way you wanted them with whoever this is. So there's a lot of potential healing. It all depends on how you deal with that. All right, Taurus, how does your eclipse play out? Prince of Wands. Well, it looks like you're going to be energized by it, which makes sense. Usually, you know, when it's like full moon in Taurus or Scorpio, there's a lot of intense drama because these two signs are very fierce and oppose each other. Sometimes arguing and fighting, you know, can be easy, but this doesn't feel like it. Feels like this eclipse will energize you. So I would say you're going to be more on the taking action, cleaning up the decks kind of attitude about your life. I would say you're going to kick into your highly productive side. You'll be getting a lot of things done, and you might be saying a lot of things that you have been holding in. So let out your fire. Like, let that be, you know, unleash what you normally hold inside so much. And that will be the catalyst. I think you're going to find this eclipse quite liberating in the end. All right, Geminis, what is your eclipse about? You've got some murky dynamics going on that you've got to sort out. This is a card of covert actions, rumors, addiction, states of mind that are not healthy, including mental health problems, secrets, gaslighting. The moon is a tough card. It's all the murky, unsaid, hard to perceive, hard to put a word on, hard to confront. So I feel like your eclipse is all about trying to get some clarity in the midst of a lot of fogginess and gaslighting, I would say, you know, in your life. It's going to be a big task because Mercury is retrograde as well in your sign. I wouldn't expect yourself to get full clarity or resolution this eclipse. I would try to get one or two things brought out into the open and clarified, but I wouldn't say your whole situation can be clarified, because it feels like there's multiple players involved, multiple people, and multiple people who are not being completely transparent. So as one person, you can't solve all that at once, but you might be able to get some light shed on some parts of it and some details confirmed and that come to light that can be acted on or verified. It's interesting, as I'm talking, I'm remembering that Johnny is a Gemini. And as an analogy, this would make a lot of sense. Look at his court case, how murky it all is and how many people are involved who we don't know their motivations, what they're saying or what they're hiding. So yeah, little details of things being brought out and being confirmed and brought to light that will eventually add to the bigger picture or make things better. All right, Cancers. What is your eclipse about? Work, work, and work, and more work, and lots of work. This is a Capricorn card. This is being super productive and busy. This is practical busy. This is like full-time work, stable work kind of busy. You're going to be, you know, if things have been slow in your work or your career, it's about to speed. It's about to get busy. You might be more in demand than usual or than in a while. This might be a good rebalancing. I don't know, maybe if things have been slugging along or you've been not feeling like doing too much work, well, now it's going to be, okay, get busy, get things more, get things efficient and keep the flow going. It's also good financially. Money comes in, money comes in, money comes in, good flow. So yeah, that's the feeling I get for you, Cancer, is like, it's just going to kick you back into a busier cycle, but a productive one. All right, Leos, what's going on for your eclipse? And you got the 7 of Wands, which is a Leo card. So this one is about standing up for yourself, putting your foot down and standing up for yourself. Valor, it's sort of like there's a fight in the air. It doesn't have to be a big one, but there might be an important boundary or an important fight, or something important to say, something important to assert at work or with family or with your partner. Something needs to be said that's pretty strong, you know, and you need to put your foot down and say it. Could be anything like, I don't know, your neighbor keeps tossing stuff into your yard. Don't. Okay, stop it, or I will do X, Y, and Z about that. You know, it could be, I don't know, coworker is trying to infiltrate your job or take credit for your work. I see what you're doing. Stop it. That's the kind of moment that you're living, okay? And it doesn't have to be a big drama, although people that don't like boundaries will turn that into a big drama. So just be aware, whoever you have to put your foot down with, they might have a flip out. Other people are going to be aware that you've done it and that they're upset. There could be some gossiping going on. But I think you know what's right and wrong, and you know if you need to put your foot down and be that firm, then you do. So try to just do it and stand by it. All right, Virgos. What is your eclipse? And you have the Queen of Discs. So we have a woman who's very rich and looks quite idle, and she's sitting around with all her riches, looking away from us at all her land and her terrain. And she's got a little ram at the bottom who's her little secretary, if you will, or henchman, saying, "Excuse me, what do you want? Yes, why are you disturbing Madame?" So maybe you relate to the woman, or maybe you relate to the ram. So there's a dynamic going on there of, you know, okay, like a boss and an employee, a servant and a master. It might be a great relationship. She might treat the ram wonderfully, or she might treat him like a little So you might be examining that. Otherwise, I get a feeling that you're dealing with somebody who wants to avoid life and avoid the world, and it's just like staring off into space, doesn't want to look at the realities of things. And you might be the ram that's saying, you know, back off and leave this person alone. They're not ready to deal with it. Or you or the ram might be saying, yeah, there's a protective quality of this ram so that the other one can stay in their little bubble zone and avoid stuff. Could also represent like there's maybe somebody that you're trying to get a hold of or you want to reach and they're not reachable. You can't get to them. They're not available because they don't want to be. And it's also possible that it's you who doesn't want to be available. And if that's the case, then maybe you need some little ram yourself. Somebody to answer on your behalf. If it's at work, maybe you can reroute your phone calls or have somebody an answering service, or you know, there's services online that can act as online assistants. If it's not a work situation and you just for whatever reason want to be in your own head, you don't want to be bothered by people, you might need to set up somebody just to protect you and field that for you. So it's a very interesting message. Yours isn't so dramatic, but I definitely get the feeling like you feel like you need some headspace to yourself. And you don't really want to be at everybody's mercy right now. All right, Libras, what's your eclipse about? 8 of Cups. Well, I would say that 8 of Cups is usually a pretty depressing card. I mean, look at it. It says indolence. Saturn in Pisces. Now we've got all these Pisces planets right now that can help that out. You've got to look around and realize how we are all still one in the world. It's been particularly probably hard for Libra with what's going on, what we see going on in Ukraine. It can make you feel profoundly how unfair life in the world is. And that can make you really depressed. That's on a global level. You might relate to it on a personal level too, if you feel disconnected from people right now. But thank goodness the summer and weather is upon us and people are out and about, and it should be easier if it's a question of you feeling isolated or isolating yourself and feeling down about yourself or the world in some way. I think whatever comes along during the eclipse, if you find it upsetting, it's more, I think you fit more the archetype that I described, where life is basically pretty stable. And then something might come up that seems like it's from the past or from the back of your psyche. It's like, what is this doing here? Why did I suddenly remember that? Or why am I suddenly confronted with this that I didn't want or expect? And whatever it is, it might make you a bit depressed about the world or depressed about people for a little bit. But it's, as I said, it's good to just take a look at where's that coming from and why. You know, what could that be showing me? Can I be honest about, you know, maybe whatever this is, maybe you sense that already about this person a long time ago. Maybe if you're honest, you go, yeah, I was sort of disappointed about that a while back. It's not really new. It's just brought up to my attention again. Or if it's an ex that comes back or that you dream about and you're like, oh, thought I was over it. Why? Well, just try to be honest. Okay, so I wasn't really over it. Right? What do I need to do that? So, but Saturn in Pisces is always about the life lesson of understanding that we are all connected. And so there's something about feeling disconnected that brings you down about this eclipse. And you got to take a look at all the ways that we are interconnected, and take a look at the quality of your connections and work on growing those in a deeper way. All right, Scorpios, since this eclipse is hitting you, what is yours about? 5 of Wands. Okay. Well, 5 of Wands says strife. Saturn in Leo, okay? This is the card of arguments and fights, sometimes breakups, discord. It might not be you in discord with somebody. It could be happening around you and you feel like you're mediating it, or you're affected by it indirectly or directly. If it's your partner having this, you're going to feel it even if it's not happening to you. You know, or if it's within your family dynamics, all of you are going to feel it somehow. If it's at your work, you're going to feel it in the morale. So there is some, you know, arguing, quitting, firing, breaking up kind of moments going on around you. And with Saturn in Leo, it's the lesson of, you know, the ego. It's lessons about leadership as well. So this discord could come because there was a distinct lack of good leadership, or because somebody's ego has gotten out of hand. This could be if you're the one who's deciding to quit or let go of someone or end something, that might be your reasons why. I basically feel, though, above and beyond this card, that your eclipse, because it's happening, you know, with Taurus is your 7th house, it is going to be related more to your partnerships and intimate relationships. And there'll be some sort of moment of truth in your closest partnership, marriage, couple, close friend, or if it's like business partnerships, it can be that too. But I get a feeling that you've got the moral, emotional, spiritual strength to deal with tougher things than anybody. So, you know, you'll either be working it out and talking a lot and it's workable, or if you let it go, it's because it really wasn't workable, because, you know, you're going to put full energy into, if anyone puts full energy into delving deeper into solving something, it's you. So if you decide it's done, it really is. So otherwise, I think you might be mediating someone else's, but it'll come close to you, like you'll feel the vibes of it. All right, Sagittarius. I'm tempted to say scandal. 7 of Cups is murky and swampy, and it's also Scorpio, Venus and Scorpio. Yes, Venus? Yes. Venus and Scorpio is very lusty and self-indulgent and kinky and all the rest. It's a very, the card can represent, like if you look at it, it's a swamp. It looks like a disease or a virus. So I'm hoping for all of you that nobody's sick, but it's a metaphor. It can also be that relationships or work dynamics or money, because Venus is also money and so is Scorpio. But this card, if it's your money, it's like, this is bad budgeting or scammers or like Ponzi, like schemes and stuff like that. It's not clean. So you might want to be aware of that. If it's relationship related, there could be a lot of it can talk about addiction and mental health being not so great. It can also talk about, this card can also mean sometimes STDs and sexually deviant kind of unhealthy, toxic behavior as well. So basically, Sag, the eclipse will probably bring up some, let's just say, sketchy vibes. Let's just say old, unhealthy or toxic patterns, thoughts, people. This card isn't easy. You know, it's hard to pull yourself out of it. If you need help to get clear, you might, you might need to talk to people that you trust. But the feeling I'm getting is that once you identify what that is, you need to extricate yourself and do whatever work you need to do to clean things up for yourself. This can be then, for some people, a wake-up call to get clean, stop drinking whatever it is you're doing. Addictive behaviors. It could also be if you realize that where you work, you don't like their ethics, you don't trust the way they're making money, you see something wrong, you might need to leave. And then again, you're cleaning up your life. You're cleaning up your energy once you realize the true nature of something is very toxic. That's probably the best way to say it. All right, Capricorns. Nice. Abundance, 3 of Cups. So I think this eclipse is going to be more like a powerful time for you. I feel like you're high energy and you're busy and you're ready to do get a lot of things rolling again. You're ready to go out and see people, socialize, volunteer, plant stuff, host things. Like you're ready. You're ready. So this is going to be a really nice eclipse time for you, I would say. So if there's any kind of Pluto aspect, because Pluto's in Capricorn, but it's at the end. So if you're born, towards the middle to end of the middle of January up to like the 20th, 21st, you're feeling the Pluto the most. Otherwise, the Pluto aspect would work in your favor in this case. You might be out in public and visible to people in a way that brings you positivity and attention and invitations and stuff like that. There's a celebratory feeling of this card. So if you're thinking of getting involved in something locally or hosting something, just go for it. This is going to be a nice one for you. All right, Aquarius. So your eclipse, Ace of Discs. There could be a new job for some of you, new project, a new source of income. Sometimes it represents a new friend. Not really love, more friendship, practical. But otherwise, I would say it's probably work related. And it doesn't feel too crazy, even though if you're born, again, 25 degrees, Taurus and Scorpio. So if you're born towards the end of Aquarius, meaning February, like 11 to, 19, somewhere in there, you might feel it because it's squaring off with the sun. So there could be some friction or tension, but I get a feeling more for you that it's new tasks, new role, maybe a new product line if you're a business person. It has like a steady, good kind of Taurus feeling to it for me, more than a drama feeling. So I think you're going to have a good eclipse, actually. It might thrust you into something new that you didn't plan on that turns out really well. And finally, Pisces. Two of Wands. So for you, like this card is an argument. Yeah, it's a battle of wills. Mars and Aries, two fiery, spontaneous people that just let loose and don't think about what they're saying and regret it after, which isn't very Pisces-like usually. So I'm going to say that if you, of all people, Pisces, feel angry enough to argue or put your foot down or take someone on, I'm sure that there's a darn good reason, because usually Pisces doesn't want to fight. So if you are being pushed and you feel compelled to challenge somebody or to say no, or to say, no, I don't agree with that. No, you're wrong. Pisces just doesn't do that very often. So I'm going to say a lot of you might be justified in having that argument. It might be necessary for you to have the argument. Again, what did we say? What did I say before as the analogy? Think about when they purposely burn a line in the forest to protect other future bigger forest fires. If you need to get angry and you feel pushed and you need to set your line, it will prevent bigger things spinning out of control in the future if you can get ahead of it now. And yeah, you're going to be uncomfortable because you don't like that. But every so often, it really is important. We can't always be, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's fine. We can't always do that. You'll end up in a very bad situation if you're always too compliant. Every so often, you know, as sensitive water signs, we need to get mad. And we don't do it that often. So when we do, it's really big. It's upsetting, but it's important to do it. So, you know, you pick your battles, but if you feel pushed and compelled, I think it's time. I don't think it's going to be a bad thing, even though you're going to be upset by it. I think it's going to be a necessary roar. Yeah. All right. So once again, if you enjoy my videos, please like and subscribe and share, and take a look at my links for Patreon below. The basic support every month would be great. If you want to join my community, that'd be even better. And I'll be back again when we come to the next new moon. All right.